Hey everyone, my name is Carly and welcome to my third and final end of the year video. If you watch them in order, then you'll know what this one is. It is my worst and most disappointing books of 2017. This list is quite a bit shorter than my best and definitely a lot shorter than all the books I read in 2017. So that's always a plus. Short disclaimer, if you have read and love these books because some of these are very unpopular opinions, then that's okay. That's fine. Whatever. Read and love what you enjoy. So, again, with this list, again, it's not in any particular order. It's just literally first book I read in the year that I did not like to most recent book I read in the year that I did not like. So, without further ado, I'm just going to get into it. One of the first ones I read in the year that I did not like was Library of Souls by Ransom. One of my first videos ever was me talking about this series as a whole, and I could honestly put Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children all on this, but I did not read the whole series in 2017. I did read the third one in 2017. But yeah, I just did not like the series as a whole, therefore that book is on this list. Any book talks I do will be linked down below, that one included, if you want to hear more of my thoughts. Next one was Wither by DeStefano. Yeah, it was just, I could already tell it was not going to be my cup of tea, but my coworker let me borrow it, and I figured I would read it just because I had it, and it really was not anything. I knew going into it I wasn't going to like it, and I did not like it. The next two are very unpopular opinions, and definitely fall under the most disappointing of the year, but they are A Darker Shade of Magic and A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. Sadly, I did not like these at all. I was very bored with them. The characters did not connect with me in any way. I found them all very flat and boring, and I kind of wanted to slap Lila silly. So, yeah, I did not like any of the relationships, any of the plot points, anything that was happening, and it's so disappointing because these books are hyped so much, but I did not like them at all, to a point that I'm very wary of reading anything by V.E. Schwab at this point in time because I really did not like these books. The next one was Mosquito Land by ARnold. It was advertised to me in a way that I didn't feel like the book went. It said about a person dealing with grief, and then again, I didn't feel, I was looking for something else, and that, I didn't feel like that book was necessarily what I was looking for. Not to mention, again, was not a huge fan of the characters, the storyline I was a little confused on, and just, yeah, I didn't really like it. The next one was definitely a most disappointing read of this year. I definitely have it, and I find it funny because the other book I read by this author made it into my favorite. It's Carry On by Rowell. I'm pretty sure I talked about it in some wrap-up. I did talk about it in some wrap-up. I did not make a whole book talk on why I hated this book. But it boils down to feeling like I was just thrown into the last book in a series and kind of confused with the world and the relationships, because it felt like I just was already expected to see how these relationships have grown and why they made sense, and I did not get that at all in this book. Characters all felt very one note, and the way it's written is all in first person, but it switches perspective between the characters, and I found it kind of hard to keep track of which character I was reading in at which time, just because I felt like they were all written the same way. Fangirl, freaking loved it, so good. Carry On was not that great. Another one, again, one of the most disappointing, and again another very unpopular opinion, because also Carry On was another very unpopular opinion, but this one is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Again, I did talk probably extensively about how much I did not like this in a wrap-up. I'd heard that people really liked the series more than the Throne of Glass series, and that while this one was not as good as the second one, they still enjoyed it enough to continue with the second one. I found this one so boring, so creepy, just so not great that I have no plans whatsoever to continue with this series. But yeah, a lot of my issues come from just how boring, like this is 400 pages. No, it's definitely more than 400 pages. But this is, whole book, like nothing happens. And then the end part does happen. It was a total shift, which made no sense. And then they bring in this character, which everyone seems to love, but I was so uncomfortable reading, like, that last bit with just some of the stuff that had happened. I'm just like, this is not okay. This is really, honestly, really creepy, and it wasn't that great. Technically, this is the last one I read this year that I did not like. One of the more recent ones I did talk about in another wrap-up, probably my November wrap-up or something. But it is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany and Cavallaro. It's a retelling of Sherlock Holmes, except Sherlock Holmes and John Watson were real people, and the characters we are following in this story are descendants of those people, characters, things. Multitude of issues. Again, characters, if you're going to have descendants, if they have them be descendants of these already fantastic characters, maybe you should give them different personalities, because literally it was just Sherlock and Holmes again, which I'm okay with if, you know, they weren't descendants of Sherlock and John Watson. There was sexual assault used in this in a way that I did not find appropriate or helpful. It was used more just as a plot rather than truly showing how a character was healing from it. It just wasn't that great. And then I added this last minute, but it's another one I read towards the beginning of the year, and I shouldn't say read because this is the only one I'm pretty sure I DNF'd this year, officially DNF'd this year, and it was The Ice Cream Queen of Orchid Street by Susan Jane Gilman. I'm pretty sure I've talked about this extensively, but it was advertised and was supposed to be about this Jewish Russian immigrant who immigrates to America in the early 1900s, and then from there it's kind of her life growing up as she creates this whole ice cream empire, which sounds freaking awesome if, you know, the main character was not a horrible person who I literally could not find any redeeming qualities in. Like, it's written from her perspective, and I hated her. I could not stand her at all. I felt bad for, like, the person she had married and anyone she was with, and, like, honestly, like, all of the characters were, like, mean for, like, no reason, and I could not do it. I was like, I'm not wasting any more time with this book, which is so sad because I still want to read the book about the Jewish orphan who, she's not an orphan so much, but the Jewish immigrant who immigrates from, Jewish Russian immigrant who immigrates to America in the early 1900s, and then her life as she grows up and creates an ice cream empire. Like, I still really want to read that book, but that was not that book. There's my least favorite reads of the year. Not a huge list, and it really just boiled down to me a lot of character. I feel like I said I did not like the characters a lot, and a lot of those also seem to be very unpopular opinions too. So anyway, what were some of your least favorite reads of the year? I mean, I don't know. Best reads are fun and all, but I don't know why. I love talking about books I did not like. I love talking about things I did not like, and I love talking about books I did not like. I love watching people talk about books they did not like. I don't know how helpful it all is, but it's like my favorite type of video to watch, and I love making this kind of videos where I get to, like, talk about stuff I don't like. But anyways, thank you for watching my end of the year videos. If you liked what you saw, please feel free to hit that subscribe button. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your year, and I will see you guys again with another video soon. Bye. Yeah. No, no, no.